Hello, and welcome to Haccp training for food handlers. I'm Yelena.
And I'm Trent.
Today we're going to be learning about a simple system to help you reduce the risk of foodborne illness in your kitchen. Haccp stands for Hazard, Analysis, Critical, Control, Point. That means identifying and controlling food preparation risks to help you reduce the overall risk of foodborne illness. You are probably already careful with how you prepare food in your kitchen. Besides, if customers get sick from eating food from your kitchen, you can lose your business and your reputation.
Not following safe food handling practices can lead to complaints, lost business, and fines.
The Haccp system was created to help food handlers identify when and how food might become unsafe. With Haccp, you will learn everything you need to know to prepare food safely.
I'll see you again shortly for step 2.
Let's get started. A Haccp plan has 3 simple parts. Part 1, understand how food can become unsafe. Part 2, list safe food handling practices. Part 3, check to make sure that all food handling practices are being done correctly. Let's start with part 1, understanding how food can become unsafe. Food becomes unsafe because of contaminants. What is a contaminant? A contaminant is anything in or on food that can make you or your customers sick.
One evening, my husband and I went out to eat at a restaurant. We were there for a good 2 hours. We had a great time. We came home, went to bed that night, and I'd say about 10 to 12 hours later, I started to feel nauseous. I was sweating, cramps in my stomach, to the point that I was bedridden for about a good 36 to 48 hours. And at the same time, I was actually breastfeeding my child, and I had to literally run to the washroom, vomit, diarrhea. I wouldn't wish that kind of sickness on anyone, and I was worried about breastfeeding my child, but she wouldn't take the bottle. So it was quite devastating, quite worrisome.
Contaminants can be biological, such as bacteria, viruses, mold, or parasites. Or they can be physical objects, such as hair, glass, or bandages. Or they can be chemical, such as cleaning products or pesticides. Contaminants can come from other food, from dirty equipment, or from food handlers. To prevent food contamination in your kitchen, be sure to wash your hands, use clean and sanitized equipment, and separate raw food from cooked food. Bacteria are the #1 cause of foodborne illness in Canada. They grow quickly on hazardous food when left in the temperature danger zone. What is hazardous food? Hazardous food is usually moist and high in protein, such as meat, eggs, or milk. The temperature danger zone is between 4 and 60 degrees Celsius. Hazardous food must not be left in the temperature danger zone. And an easy way to remember this is to keep cold food cold at 4 degrees Celsius or lower, and keep hot food hot at 60 degrees Celsius or higher. It's very important for the safety of your customers to keep food at the correct temperature.
Now that we know how food can become unsafe, let's move on to step 2 of our Haccp plan, making a list of safe food handling practices. Think of this as a recipe for food safety. There are 8 common steps in food handling, from the moment it arrives at your premises to the moment it's served to your customer. The steps are receiving, storage, defrosting, preparing, cooking or reheating, holding, cooling, and serving. Let's see how this plan will work in your kitchen.
Hey Chef, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks. We were just having an issue with our Caribbean grilled chicken salad today.
Okay.
We had an issue with
First, look at your menu and identify a hazardous food item. Paresh and Sandra are owners of a family-owned business. They've identified roasted chicken breasts as a hazardous food item on their menu. As Chef Fernando will explain, preparing roast chicken breasts involves several steps where safe food handling is essential.
When you receive frozen chicken from your supplier, you inspect the product and store it in your freezer. Before dinner preparations, You defrost the chicken in the fridge for 6 hours. Once the chicken is defrosted, you prepare it according to your recipe by adding spices. You then place it in the oven at 365 degrees Celsius for 40 minutes. You then remove it from the oven and place it in a hot holding unit until it is ready to be served.
Now, let's review Chef Fernando's recipe for roast chicken breasts again, while paying close attention to safe food handling practices. When receiving the chicken, the employee makes sure it is at -18 degrees Celsius or colder, and it is from a government-inspected supplier. If there is no tag or if there is a concern about the safety of the food, the employee should notify his or her supervisor immediately. When storing the chicken, the employee places it in the freezer. The temperature of the freezer is checked every shift to make sure that it is at -18 degrees Celsius or colder. When defrosting the chicken, the employee uses one of the three following methods: ensuring that it's covered and placing it on the bottom rack of the refrigerator at 4 degrees Celsius, defrosting it under cold running water, or defrosting it in the microwave if it's going to be cooked immediately afterward. This is normally used for smaller portions. When preparing the chicken, the employee washes his or her hands before and after handling food. Also, all work surfaces, utensils, and equipment must be cleaned and sanitized before and after working with food. Remember, hazardous foods such as chicken cannot be in the temperature danger zone, which is between 4 degrees Celsius and 60 degrees Celsius, for more than 2 hours. After cooking the chicken, the employee inserts a probe thermometer to ensure that it is cooked to 74 degrees Celsius or hotter. The thermometer must read 74 degrees Celsius or hotter for at least 15 seconds. If we were preparing this chicken the day before serving, the chicken would need to be immediately cooled to keep it out of the temperature danger zone. Remember that hazardous food grow bacteria quickly in the temperature danger zone, and bacteria is the #1 cause of foodborne illness. Today we are using the hot holding step because we'll be serving the chicken in a few minutes. When hot holding, the employee places the cooked chicken into a hot holding unit. The temperature would be checked every 2 hours to make sure it is at 60 degrees Celsius or hotter. When serving food to your customers, make sure that dishes, table surfaces, and utensils are cleaned and sanitized. Also, hold plates by the bottom or edges, and hold cups or glasses near the bottom or by the stem.
Now we know how the roasted chicken is prepared using safe food handling practices. In part 3 of our Haccp plan, we check to make sure that safe food handling practices are being done correctly. Choose a staff member to be responsible for every step. Keep records and check them often to make sure that food is handled correctly. An example of a record is a temperature control log sheet that's used to make sure food is handled at the correct temperatures. And that's Haccp. By creating a Haccp plan and using safe food handling practices in your kitchen, you can reduce the risk of foodborne illness.
Remember the 3 parts of the Haccp plan. Part 1, understand how food can become unsafe. Part 2, list safe food handling practices. Part 3, check to make sure safe food handling practices are being done properly.
Hi, Walter.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
So, here you go. You and your staff are doing a great job with your Haccp plan. Great
Thank
job,
you.
guys.
Thank you.
By following a Haccp plan, you can protect your customers and prepare food the safe way every time.
For more information, visit our website at peelregion.ca/food safety or call Region of Peel Public Health at 905-799-7700. Thank you for watching.